But what we have been doing is we've been kind of going around Pendle and kind of having this visualization of Pendle as a home, as a house that maybe some people want to sell, maybe some people want to buy, and we just use that as a kind of creative vehicle to talk about different things relating to the area. So if we go to the visualization, Rick, the one that we made in the first session last week in college, that will give you an idea. So each box of the house represents a different room. At the top, the long room, this is the kids' room. We've got bathroom, we've got the staircase.
We divided the audience into two things, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
The Aussies and the Billy Boys.
The Billy, yeah.
Is it the Billy Boys or the Bobby Boys?
Billy Bobs.
Billy Bobs. Billy Bobs.
They were the estate agents. So one team was trying to pick out different kind of things that maybe are wrong with the house, just to knock the price down. And that was an opportunity to talk about the things which are challenging or needs changing in Pendle. And then the estate people, even, they were highlighting all the positives. And we were having different conversations around positives and things to change. So here in the bedroom I've got the nest, we talk about the kitchen, talk about sustainable food, and actually the kitchen as an area where people can learn from each other different skills. And we talk about who actually cooks at home. Then we also talked about, I think this was a lounge here. So there was a whole conversation about are there enough spaces in Pendle for women only to do stuff. Then someone mentioned there's actually also in the living room you'd have a TV, so what do people watch? And actually there is a project which creates its own radio channel, film channel or something like that. Radio?
Yes, Pendle Community Radio, I think, which is a really, it's based in Nelson, where there's a lot of reach within the community down there.
So yeah, so we're just kind of talking about how about just tuning into your local station, whatever it is. So that was one of the things. And we also talked about water as a big feature of the area. Water as a clean and admirable resource, but also
Apparently Pendle water is the best in the country.
I could agree with that, actually. Yeah, it's very tasty water. But could that be done? Could we make more out of that as a resource? There's talk about starting doing a dam. Was it hydroelectric dam? So that was a good idea.
Was the dam fine idea?
Dam, right, yeah. And then also talk about problems, people speeding in their cars, but actually there are some potholes, so it's actually quite dangerous on the roads for that reason, so maybe that's something needs to be fixed. Other things that came up were litter. There's a lot of that going on, and also there's a threat coming from this new McDonald's being built. If you want to see more of mainstream kind of franchises like this, or maybe something a bit more local.
Well, that was in Barnard, wasn't it? We'll show that one in a minute.
Yeah, but also talk
Here
about
people
housing.
wanted it on the other side of Nelson. What's that?
There's too many.
Too many takeaways. Other people saying there are too many takeaways.
And final thing to mention about this one was a lot of conversations about sustainability and can there be more done to install eco-friendly materials to build inside of the house, but also the outside, the panels and that kind of stuff. And it reflected the visualization from yesterday, Rick.
Yesterday we were in Barnoldswick.
Yep. So there people weirdly concentrated mostly about the area outside of the house. So that's quite interesting. Talking about the industrial past as a great resource of the area.
They wanted somebody wanted to build nuclear reactors.
Yeah. And turn
in
into
Barnoldswick.
an art.
Make it a nuclear reactor factory.
Yeah. I think that cause a reaction from the community.
Yeah.
So the dam stayed. There was a big conversation about jobs, I think, what keeps people in the area. There was generally consensus that people tend to, spend their childhood in the area, then move away, meet their romantic partners, come back.
I mean, that was the whole thing with the nest. There was kind of like, the whole borough of Pendle seems to operate like this, that people grow up in Pendle, they go out into the world, they get their claws into some romantic partner from somewhere else, and then they drag them back to Pendle where they live and raise a family.
Yeah, but
That was what the whole nesting was about.
yeah, but there was one issue with that is that transport and train lines are a bit scarce or unreliable. Taxis are expensive, so how about that? Funding is quite, has decreased in the past few years. And what else is there? Oh yeah, there was a big conversation about tourism. Could tourism be something that Pendle does well, but on its own terms, and give tourists something that's unique for the area, something that's, rather than turning everything to Airbnb, then let the tourists dictate the rules, but invite them to a unique experience. There was talk of maybe having a festival, a big festival, something different places to have successful.
A rotating Pendle festival
Yeah.
that goes from town to town.
Or having a big arts and music centre, a festival hall or something like this. And I think that's it. I mean, there was loads more in terms of this. I think it was kind of all revolving around the industry.
There was a lot of controversy about car parking as well.
Car parking, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
down
true.
there in the bottom.
Where was? Oh yeah, parking hours. Yeah. Could that be a viable way of making money off tourists for charging them a car park? I think that's it. That's kind of where we were with these two sessions so far. But really today we can take it in any direction we want to. And we could split ourselves into teams and we could have that selling the house and buying the house, not the price down, bring back up again. But I feel like we could just start.
Yeah, I think right now, hopefully it'll
It's
be
just
more
an intro, it's not
on
even
their
official
way.
beginnings.
You know, this is just maybe just to get a sense of the idea so far, what people think of it, and just the people here so far as well.
Who are the people?
We've got some more people on this.
Joiners.
Come take a seat. Hello, hello. We're just doing a bit of an intro anyway. We're just getting names actually. So my name's Mikey. What's your name, fellow construction worker?
I'm Margot from Poland, very good at construction.
I'm Paul.
And yeah,
I'm Tim.
Tim, welcome. And
I'm Aisha.
Aisha? Yeah. You go and say that again, I didn't catch that. Amina. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Ian.
What was that?
Ian.
Ian, yeah.
I'm Finland.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I was it, yeah.
Selena.
Hang on, Celine, I've got to go around this way, let's get into that one.
Zena.
What?
Sorry.
So yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. And that's it, really. I don't know what people think. I mean, you've just come in, we just quickly show you these two images of, this is the Pendle house, but it's a metaphor. Meaning, what's metaphor again?
Metaphor is when something
it's
is standing.
Standing, so it stands in for the borough of Pendle. And so we've done this twice already. No, what is, if Pendle was a house, what would it be? Would it be a crappy old house that needed a lot of work on it? Or would it be like, would it have charm and, it's kind of, would it be a very unique and attractive dwelling? So if we can just quickly flick to the ones we've done already, because we've been on the road already. This is the Barnoldswick one, and that's the Nelson Cone College one. So I'm not going to go through that whole thing again, because everyone else has heard it, but basically this is some of the things that people were talking about there. People want to see a bit more industry, more arts and music in the area. We're talking about one of the big things about Pendle, wherever we go in Pendle, is this idea of the Pendle nest, that people grow up in Pendle, wherever it be it Briarfield, Nelson Cone or Barnoldswick. They grow up there and then they go out into the world, then they find a romantic partner and just grab hold of that person and drag them back to Pendle. Back to Nelson, where they live forevermore. So this is one of the things we're finding is a common recurring theme. Is that how Pendle works? So these are some of the things. In the bedroom there, we've got like a very multicultural thing. You want to zoom in quickly, Rick, on the flags. And someone said, like, in the playroom, there's multi-ethnic dolls. So we've got this lineup of dolls and lots of flags, a lot of education going on, and some sustainability. So that's the kind of idea. Anyway, I think maybe we should just get some reflections on this. What do people think about this? Do people think it's a good reflection of Pendle so far? Is there an elephant in the room? And if so, which room is the elephant in? Is it the bedroom, the kitchen, whatever? I don't have an elephant sound effect, but soon we'll get one.
Hopefully it's not upstairs.
Yeah, hopefully it's not upstairs. Yeah, well, that's a good question. Is the structure of the Pendle house strong enough to actually support the elephant in the upstairs room? Someone's at the door, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not the sound effects pad, is it?
No, that's not the sound effects pad.
No. We do have a very similar sound effects.
We don't have a sound
That's the
effects.
closest we've got, is this one. Which is,
But I think the subject of housing did come up and what houses are made of, and Skipton apparently has got much more expensive houses, but they are much better.
They're better quality,
Yeah, better
but
quality.
they're much more expensive.
But also there's some patented I can't remember what it's called, the that thing that people use for building that's been patented in Manchester that's not being widely used to.
What is it? Some building technique.
Yeah, it was like something.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, graphene. It was graphene, that's right. Come and take a seat. We have got Paul, we've got Tim, we have got Aisha, we've got Amina, we've got Ian, we've got Finley, we've got Ozzy, we have got Selena and Zainab and Zainab and Zoya and Mikey. What's your name? Max. When we're talking about Pendle, as if Pendle was a house, what kind of house would it be? Would it be a decent house, or would it be a rickety house that needed a lot of work on it? I've just been through the images that we've created so far twice. I'm not going to go through it again. You'll pick up the pieces as we go along. Trust me on this one. At the moment we're talking about exactly that thing, the structure of the Pendle house. Is it a strong house? Is it a good, solid house? Ozzy?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why do you say that?
Because there's been a lot of heavy duty materials put in to make sure it's sturdy,
So it's a solid kind of place, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this your house?
Well, what about your house, Ian?
I've lived in mine 64 years, so it's kind of okay, it's an old house.
Yeah.
I'd say generally state housing in Nelson is pretty poor.
Yeah.
I look at it more as an outside shed, really.
Yeah, so it's more of a kind of crumbling old
I think so.
lean-to.
Too many properties have been left untouched for years. Maybe shouldn't still be standing.
Okay, I mean, does it give the area, one of the things people were saying, does it give the area a charm? Is it sort of something that we need to just be proud of, or do we need to knock it all down and start again? I mean, what do people think? What do people think of the housing in Pendle? Selena, you got any thoughts on that? You just kind of, no? Say no? Zoya?
I know that there's a lot of poor housing in Pendle. I know that generally there's a lot of families where a lot of families are living together, sort of extended, and so there's a lot of overcrowding in certain houses as well, which again contributes to health factors, and sort of like damp and stuff like that. So I think housing is definitely one of the things that should be on the top priorities for Pendle.
Yeah.
Because we need to have fit housing to have fit people.
Okay, so housing links to health is what you're saying.
Absolutely, 100%.
And what would you, if you were like the king or queen of Pendle? Yeah. Okay, sorry, I take out that sentence. As the queen of Pendle, what would you like to do to actually improve the housing? Is it about knocking
I'd love to make housing affordable, and at the same time I would love it if housing actually catered to the people that are living in it. Like majority of the housing in Pendle, I think it's 56% is terraced housing, 2 up, 2 down, if that. So if you think about the average family in Pendle, it's between 6 and 8 average family. So it just doesn't add up. How are you going to put a family of 6 to 8 in a 2 up, 2 down?
I mean, is it about knocking them in two? Is it about building again?
Well, I mean,
building
lots
higher?
of people have done that already. You
Yeah.
know, I know families who have bought a full block and
Right.
kind of, you know, sister lives there, brother lives there, and that's how they've done
Yeah.
it. They've managed to make that whole block theirs. And I
Yeah.
guess people have put these things in place to make happen whatever they need to happen
Yeah.
in order to live. But it should be a priority of the councils to make sure that housing is appropriate for people to live in.
Okay, what do other people think about this? Any thoughts on this? What do you... Welcome. I mean, let's give you a round of applause, which is this button here.
Oh, thank you.
This is just a polite smattering of applause at the moment. Okay, I've got to go quickly through the kind of explanation because I've done it 3 times already. But we're kind of thinking of looking at Pendle as a house. Is it a good house? We've got, I think here, we've got a little bit of some structural damage there going on. We've got Rick, by the way. Rick is in. Hello, Rick. He's down in Hackney and he's visualising remotely some of these things. Also, Paul, you just need to make sure as well, when we do refer to the visual, that the live audience can see it, which means spotlighting it here and there. Yeah, go on.
We haven't quite gone live yet, just want to
Okay.
let people know we're going to stream it on our Facebook page, if people are happy with that.
Okay. Everyone happy to be streamed live?
Yeah.
You can get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, we're the best place to be. Yeah. The best place. The best place to sit is over here. If you don't want to go and sit over there. I mean. Okay. Maybe come a bit closer than that. You could go to the next one, the next table. Go to this table. Go to this table. Come on, Aisha. You could easily sit on that thing there. No one can see you there. In fact, I could even call you by a different name.
It's fine by the name. The name's fine.
Okay. Oh, that's a shame, because I wanted to make up a name. But anyway, we're talking about, do people agree with this structural damage that we've got here? Is it the housing fit for purpose? Do we want to knock it down and start again and build shiny new glass and steel structures? These are some of the things, but this talk can go anywhere you want to go. But Paul, before you get involved, we've got a couple of new faces. We have got Aisha and Amina at the back there. We've got Paul, we've got Tim, we've got Margot, we've got Ian, we've got Finley, we've got Ozzy, we've got Selena, we've got Zainab, we've got Zoya, Max, and what's your name? Jennifer and
Jan.
Yeah. And I'm Mike here. We're sort of using this as a kind of metaphor. If Pendle was a house, would it be a good house? So far, we kind of said, no, it's not. It's not fit for purpose. The housing in Pendle is not fit for purpose.
I suppose it depends.
Max, grab the mic.
I suppose it's where you live, really.
Yeah.
So this area, that the name.
Yeah.
You say there's a lot of deprived areas.
Yeah.
I've lived there since, I guess, 1995 when
Right.
I first came to live.
Yeah.
I went up.
When you were a child.
No, I came from Mauritius.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
From Mauritius. I'm one of the Windwest generation.
Yeah.
1972, I came to do nursing in England. And I've been a nurse ever since, 15 years
Yeah.
in the NHS.
Mm.
But I came to Burnley in 1988
Mm.
and moved to, what I called Home Nelson, 1995. And I bought a nice house, but I could see around me there was a lot of deprived.
Yeah.
When I first went there was only one coloured family in that region where I was living. Now I'm surrounded by people like me.
Right. Okay.
Which empowers me a lot. Because I was a kind of trained blazer.
You were the.
I dared to went into in a kind of.
What was it like when you first moved in? Then was it?
I wasn't accepted because I dared to move there on my own with my family.
Yeah.
And because I bought a nice house, I could afford it because I work hard.
Yeah.
And the NHS obviously as nurses you have to work hard. You have to earn your living.
Yeah.
But I think I was despised because I was able to buy a brand new house. It was a 5-bedroom detached house with a double garage, with a long drive.
Yeah.
So I was despised in a way. I was kind of trying. They tried to get me out. So I stayed in. I'm still there.
Okay.
And I was surrounded by people like me and white people.
Yeah.
I think we need to address those things because of equity, quality, EDI. So you need to kind of embrace everybody.
Yeah.
We're all equal.
Okay. I mean, do you think that situation's got better now? Is it just that there's great? You don't think it has?
No, because I was just reading a report this morning in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the same thing I was talking about 15 years ago.
Okay.
When people from black ethnic minority was the kind of how they had bad experience in healthcare.
Okay.
And you could talk about housing, employment, education. I think we need to tackle that first and foremost.
Yeah.
Tackle that inequity.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's the first and foremost, as in health profession.
Okay.
We need to talk about prevention.
Yeah.
And with prevention, you have to have all that housing, employment.
Yeah. I mean, as someone that is a health professional, I don't know if you were there when Zoya said that the housing, the way you are housed, does affect your health. Do you agree?
Of course, this is your kingdom. Your house is your kingdom.
Yeah.
But when people were throwing stone at my house, and things like that, and I had to chase those kids and find where they were and went to their parents and said, "Do you realize your kids were doing that to me?"
Yeah.
Because my kids were very frightened, they were little, they didn't understand it. I had to kind of challenge those views, the stereotype. And luckily it stopped because the parents were very good citizens.
Right.
And they kind of,
so it was actually the younger people that
so you got to challenge those thoughts, those stereotypes, make it better for everybody.
Okay.
And I'm one of those people who did that.
Okay, well that's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that into the, let's hit the ramp. Yes, thank you, Ozzy, on the sound effects. So, I mean, what do other people think of that? Is that a problem that needs fixing in the Pendle house? Is it a kind of segregated house? And I don't know how you're going to illustrate that, Rick. I'll leave that up to you.
Think about, it's kind of like the gate bit, isn't it, or the yard? It's
maybe.
How much you know, or how much are you welcoming to neighbours, and obviously some areas have got more diversity than others, and it's part of it, isn't it? As well as your kingdom, it's like it's kind of how you feel part of that, and that's one experience here. I mean, in terms of housing as well, there is kind of real. We've got some areas that are still very traditional in the sense of the terrace, which is all to do with our history, which is a positive thing. But it means that people are living together quite closely. But then you've also got houses in some of the more rural areas, which are worth like a ridiculous amount. It's a real split. Well, not split. It's a real kind of like extreme from one end to the other. Really. And depending on where you live, you can be closer to people you know, or not. You can just. You can afford it, you can be very isolated and live completely on your own.
So you sort of buy your way out of the problem in a way. What do other people think, Jennifer?
I think because wages are changing now. So back in the day, so when we came in the 1950s and 60s, we were in terraced houses. So what's happening now is our children are being educated now. So for example, we are now moving into the semi-detached and detached because we realise that back in the day our parents came, they made a life in this country, and then they'd send money back home to support a second family. So when they were sending their money back home, I see it as our parents in the 1940s and 50s had to make the money, they never got to spend it. Then my second generation actually looked at the money, was scared to spend it, but the third generation are now thinking we should spend it because this is our home. So what people are doing now is they are moving into these nice semi-detached houses and detached houses because they think we deserve it because we are now being educated and we're thinking now why can't we not take part of it as well.
And what about the question that Max raised though, because one of the things you were saying, Max, is you don't feel that the situation's got better in terms of what colour you are. If you're moving, like if you're a brown-skinned person moving into a white area, are you actually being welcomed? Is that?
No, I think it's concerned about the white flight maybe. Maybe there's fear. If you don't know, you're fearful, aren't you? So you've got to know your surroundings. If you don't go out to mix and meet and get to know people, you're not going to know. I mean, for example, it's like we support the same football team, no matter what colour you are. For football as an example, no matter what colour you are,
you can all share in the misery.
You're right, you have to find that shared purpose, isn't it? That's shared values.
Shared values, exactly.
Shared purpose. And then I let everybody else talk because I've spoken.
But you throw in something really interesting.
To kind of look at deprivation and inequity, that's the key, fundamental, to build that house on that. Because I think I've met you before on the allotment.
Anyway, we're focused focus on that in a bit. But I just want to, in a way, what we're talking about is a foundation. It's like a foundation.
That's why you have to get that foundation right.
Yeah.
We build on equity.
Yeah, exactly.
We build on community cohesion.
But I'm just also a bit worried about what Jennifer said.
Because I came on my own in 1972.
Yeah.
At Mauritius. There was 8 of us, my mum and dad. I came on my own to start my career. Now I was a family.
Okay, we've got a new face at the table, which is, tell us your name.
My name's Shabazz.
Shabazz, we've got Max, we've got Jennifer, we've got Aisha and Amina at the back there in the cheap seats. We've got Paul, we've got Jan, we've got Tim, we've got Ian, Finley, Ozzy, Selena, Zainab and Zoya. At the moment we're kind of talking about, Rick's, who's online, he's trying to visualise this conversation. He's put in a kind of, like a Palestinian sort of wall there. Is that how it is? Is there a kind of people feel that is that level of... Max has come in and said that segregation or these things are still an issue now. And then Jennifer's kind of said, well, actually, it's also about having money and having the resources to get those nice houses as well. But Jan, you had a point. Yeah, grab the mic.
I live locally. I live locally. I'm a terrace house at the top.
Yeah.
The problem I'm finding is I bought my own house. We've now got a lot of landlords who are from away, and this is the problem. Landlords who will not put the money into the houses. The housing stock is going down. 3 doors away from me, 2 weeks ago, it was emptied out. It had been used as a drug den. They've been growing cannabis in it.
Right.
And this is what's happening to the stock in Nelson area. It's just gone down. People are not respecting the people, not respecting their own area or their own housing.
Right.
And there's no care anymore.
Yeah.
And this is where, unless we get this back, it's going to go further and further downhill, and it's got to start somewhere. And I'm open to anybody, as this gentleman will know, I'm open to anybody. I don't care whether you're brown, green or what. At the end of the day, what we all need is respect for one another and respect for our neighbours and respect for our area. And until we get that back, we might as well just forget about everything.
Okay, so for you, let's have a round of applause. So for you, it's about respect and that kind of shared values, as you were saying as well.
I think the other thing you have to say about kindness.
Kindness.
Yes.
Okay.
About respecting each other. We have to be kind to each other and to ourselves, first and foremost.
Okay.
And then kind to each other and then build that community.
Yeah, it's all respect, isn't it?
I'm going to come around to this side of the table, the younger side of the table. Any views on this? Yep, Selena?
I'm obviously not as experienced as the older generation, and I haven't been in Nelson as long as you all have. I was born here and I am raised here.
So percentage of your life, you've actually been here longer than some of the people that have, moved.
Obviously you guys have seen Nelson grow and develop more than I have, so I'll only be able to share what I know of modern Nelson and what the Nelson you see today is like. And I think that obviously housing, it depends on which area you live in, depending on how good the housing is, especially because in some areas you'll see statistically the number of kids that parents will have, it does range from different areas. And I think in Nelson specifically, it is more of an Asian dominated area in many places, and I feel like there's a lot more bigger families, which is why there is a lot of poverty and there is a lot of issues with housing, and especially what with Zoya said, terrace house, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. It's not many times that you'd see, our friends that have houses where they have their own bedroom.
Yeah, okay, so...
And I think with that issue, I feel like, they do need to put more thought into housing.
Yeah, okay, so overcrowding is a big thing. What about that question of, Jan's talked about shared values, Max talked about kindness. Do you feel that Nelson is a kind place? Is it a place where the kindness can be grown?
Nelson is, even though it's overcrowded in a nice way. We're all a community. Our neighbours, we all know our neighbours. In fact, our whole street, our whole area, I'm familiar with my entire area. And I know that I can rely on my neighbours. And I think that's a really nice thing about Nelson, because we're all one community.
Yeah, so you feel like the community spirit is there. I don't know what, Vinny, do you want to say?
See, I feel a bit like an outsider because I don't actually live in Pendle. I live in Ribble Valley in Sabden, which is right. I live right next to Pendle Hill, so I live right there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I've only started to go around here recently within situ, and it's definitely very different. Even though both Pendle, different areas. I go to school in Clitheroe in to Ribblesdale, and it's definitely a lot more like white, probably middle class. It's a lot different, and I felt a bit more welcomed around in Pendle with that diversity. It's just got more of a welcome.
So the diversity is actually a positive thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. I don't know, you're not going to be on camera, but Amina and Aisha, do you want to say anything about this? Have you got any views on anything that's been said so far?
No, I kind of agree with that.
Great. Jennifer, can you just pass the mic over? Cheers. Go on.
No, I disagree with that. I disagree that sometimes you need a bit more positivity, Max was saying that sometimes kids can come around throw rocks and everything, but because Nelson is such a different community with a lot of different races, it's kind of welcoming, but it can sometimes have that downfall. But it is.
Yeah. I mean, what is there anything can be done to improve that thing, that antisocial element, or?
Just everyone's got to be kind and respectful to everyone.
I must say this kind of behavior I was describing, that was when I first came.
Yeah. You don't think
to Nelson. I love where I live. I've got four children, I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
They all said to me, Dad, what are you living in Nelson for? Because I love it. It reminds me a little bit about home, Mauritius. We don't have the nice beaches in Nelson, but we have the flora and fauna. We got the canal. I love the canal because I cycle down the canal, go to work on my bike. So I'm a very pro kind of 5 ways to help healthy living. This lady knows me from the allotment. We go and pick chippings on the road and take it to the allotment. That's why I met you. And this kind of thing, you engage with the community, you get to know people. So that's the key to it. And I still love now. Now all my kids gone, one in New York, one is in the Wirral, one is Milton Keynes, one works in, one lives at home, works in Manchester. And they've all done well.
Apparently they're going to find the partners and bring them back to you.
Hopefully they will. Because now, my wife says to me, hey, let's not bother to live there, son. I want to live there forever. Because I think it's a great place, because when I go around town, I see people like me. I see white people, I see that diversity you talk about. I used to go to Sabden and we used to fly kites with my kids on a Sunday. It's lovely. And I used to walk up that hill. So that's what you have to do. You have to create your own kind of...
Create your own vibe, basically.
Create your own environment. and bring other people in. And be as inclusive.
What about this question about the kindness? Is there a way to grow the kindness? It's not just necessarily to you, Max. Maybe we can get some other people, get this... I mean, you're quite shy, so... Let's give a round of applause. Come on.
I feel Nelson a very kind place. I've lived here. Well, 38 years, but 3 of them were in Manchester. And we've got social behaviour issues, but we've never had racial tensions here in Nelson. We've never had issues where people are not allowed in certain areas, so the kindness is there. One thing for me is it's always felt like home, so even when I went to university for 3 years, I lived with 4 of the guys from Nelson. All 4 from 3 are in Manchester now and 1 in Denmark. I'm the only one that came back to Nelson. And it felt like home for me, and it always does. And like you said, you always want to live here. I always want to live here as well. It's home. Home is where the
what about the things that Jan's talking about? The drug dens, antisocial behaviour, landlords as well, not actually looking after the houses, just using it as a kind of...
Well, about 10 years ago, I used to work at Pendle Borough Council, and I was working in the council tax and housing benefits department. And a lot of the properties and the landlords we dealt with were over the phone because they weren't in the area. So Manchester and a lot down South London, and you can understand why. But the cheapest houses in the country are
That's
here.
what they buy.
So a landlord in London, if he's buying a property in London compared to what you can buy here with the same money, is totally different. But they're in it for the money, they're not in it for the area. They don't care who's living around there or what state the house is in. But then they've got agents managing the property, so the agent is the third person who's equally not interested in the house. It's just a money thing for them as well. So obviously we've got that, a lot of properties, and we used to have a lot of landlords there who were local, who did care about the area, and they wouldn't give houses to people who are on benefits because they had a reputation for destroying houses. So it's a bit of a weird situation. But you've got that. You've got a lot of properties which are empty or derelict or untouched because the landlords are not here to look after them.
But in a way, there is also a sort of benefit to that. I get some interference from this from somewhere. It's from someone's, maybe it's your phone, which it does. But anyway, we can cope with that. But there is a thing though that it's people that are on benefits, the people that are on income support, they need somewhere to live. And in a way, they're relying on the kind of the cowboy landlords to actually provide somewhere to live.
I feel like for money to be put forward towards housing, people need to start putting more money into Pendle.
Yeah.
And I know that Paul mentioned that there are way too many takeaways. But I feel like if we got rid of those, if we got rid of those and brought more maybe clothing brands and franchises like that into Pendle, more than mainstream ones, that people would go out of their way, who live in Nelson, who would go out their way to maybe Burnley or just out of town to go receive those.
The answer is to improve the economy of Nelson.
Yeah, because people are going outside of Nelson and putting money into other places. That money is the income of people in Nelson, but it's not being put back into Nelson.
Okay, so the money's leaching out of Nelson.
I
Hang on a sec, Jan. I want to go to both Tim and Ian. Aisha hasn't said anything yet, so I'm going to bring it to Ian. I feel like you want to say something.
Yeah, firstly I'd like to say, Max, what a man. For you to have done what you've done, totally, congratulations. And long may that continue. Yeah, I'm not quite sure this thing's coming from the people who went out of Pendle and bringing people back. My partner lives in Wales.
Yeah.
I couldn't get her back here for love nor money. I'm like, oh no, not a chance in heck. Not a chance. There's a theory in Wales that there are more sheep than humans.
Yeah.
She equates this to Nelson as being there are more taxis than humans in Nelson. I brought this with me just I kind of thought it's relevant to what we're discussing. I think it is.
Yeah.
This is from the Evening Telegraph towards the back end of last year. The most common crimes in Darwin are violence and sexual offences with 1,357. This is some sort of crime report that they've got hold of. Whilst Nelson was the worst medium-sized town in all of Lancashire for drugs in November 2021. And that's why people can't tell anyone would want to come here.
So the drugs issue is a big issue?
Absolutely.
And what kind of drugs is it? Is this any kind of drugs or is it?
I don't know.
Okay. So drugs is a big issue. How do we deal with the drugs? And why is Nelson such a drugs kind of town?
You know, from my sort of experience, from my thinking, obviously everyone's shown and sort of expressed. There's a little bit of underlying racism, white flight, where people don't want to mix. Now, if you think about generations of young people wanting to apply for jobs, wanting to progress, wanting to, try different careers, but not being able to get there because of certain people holding purse strings.
Right.
So I'm just kind of putting that
And
there.
it has to be said,
around
there's discrimination around us. We don't get the fair share of the cake. And I think this lady took sense when she said, I mean, I've got young children who was here and they were not wanting to stay. When I go to town, like we say, only see takeaways and Indian shops. If I want to buy a suit, I have to go to Manchester or Burnley. Now, again, Burnley is gone as well. So in terms of decency, I know that Mary Porter came to Nelson. She's like the guru. The guru.
What did she do?
She went on, she got a high profile person.
What was great?
And she was trying to generate young people and to make Nelson more friendly for the young generation.
Did it work?
It didn't work because it's gone back to
what
it is. But she went around give grants and funds for businesses who was going to come in, and they came in and they left.
Okay.
And so I think, I don't know, we need to sustain them, make young people want to stay here, find jobs, and build their family here, because they've got all, my kids don't, it's not around me. Let's say I have to go to New York to visit them. So in a sense, you've
got Zoom now, I suppose.
Well, you get Zoom, but I think
in fact, you could get your son or daughter on Zoom and get them involved.
But I think I mean, what I've created for great children. I mean, one is a strategist, one is a vet, one is a solicitor, one is an orchidologist. So I'm try further, because I started from nothing. I started came to England with a suitcase. I was that generation who came to Birmingham with a suitcase in 1972.
Okay, well, there's a lot there.
I
just want to investigate, because it seemed to raise a few eyebrows. Is it Mary Porter? Mary Porter's?
Mary Porter's.
Yeah, Mary Porter's. You were going to say something, Janet, but also, Tim, you haven't said anything yet, so maybe you want to come in on this one.
I want to change direction, but...
well, that is your right. It's your right,
Looking at the picture, and the focus so far has been on the house, and you go in London is gradually obscuring what's made me stay in the area, not from Pendle originally, and that's the beautiful garden.
The countryside.
Everything around, whether it's Bonaldswick or Nelson or Briarfield or whatever, you can see Pendle Hill, which is iconic. But that's just the beginning of the beautiful countryside, and that's something to be argued and be positive about. And go back to the tourism, attracting people to live here, trying to build property prices, etc.
So it's all actually linked in.
Maybe a starting.
Maybe that way to get Nelson to be valued more is.
Question at that point. Who is actually who is local? Who's not of Cundons? I mean, we're of Cundons. We're of Cundons. Our parents weren't born here. I'm from Yorkshire. I mean, who's second generation Nelson? Because in the main, a lot of people move away, like you said. They move away. And the point what we need is some cultural things in Nelson. I went to Tacoma on Saturday to the Hippodrome. Went to theatre, wonderful, free show. After that, I went to a bar, a gym bar. I've never been to one in my life before. I went there, and there was so much going at Combe. You come into Nelson. What is this for old people, young people, or anyone? I know there's all these things on the canal, but on an evening, there's no cinema, there's no theatre, there's no musical things. There's nothing, there's no life. This place used to do
Centre used to do some, and I used to go to this place exercise with Burnley community.
Let me just bring it out. I just want to bring it out because Jennifer.
You were talking about football.
I'm sorry. I just want to say I missed Nelson in the 90s. That's when Nelson was brilliant. I remember going to Nelson Town Centre and spending 3 to 4 hours there. It was thriving. It was beautiful. I'm a bit bitter towards the council because in 2000 and 2001 they did a regeneration. I used to live on every street where we had a fantastic community. Everyone knew everyone. You could, the old stereotype, you could leave the doors open. It was a thriving, beautiful community. 2001, they threw us out of every street. They said, right, they're doing a shuffle. We're going to move the community. They're going to segregate the community. All our aunties, all our friends were removed. Now, my mum, she was in the 70s. She had a great, social life. She lived on every street. We moved to a different area of Nelson because we had no choice. We were given £13,000. And then the house that we lived in say 2019, 2000 or so for over 100 grand, that house, that area. So that makes me really bitter. It makes me really bitter because I think you brought my community.
Well, you were segregated.
You were segregated, you moved us. And what happened in that hub, in that area, you moved us all out And then slowly but surely, I feel that it contributes towards my mum's dementia because she became isolated.
I'm a dementia nurse, and I know what it is about. Because that's what I do, I'm a dementia nurse. I know what your cognition does to you where you live. So I let somebody else talk, but I don't want to hog anything.
Okay, I mean, you know, we're at crossroads now. What do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about tourism in Nelson? Do we want to talk about some of the issues about housing? Do we want to talk about segregation? I was just about to ask Rick to remove the segregation wall, but I feel like it should still stay in there because I think enough people are saying, yes, there is still some segregation, so maybe we'll keep that in there, even though it is a blot on the landscape, so to speak. But this is talking, it can go in any direction really you want to talk about. I've clocked everyone with their hands up. I'm going to go to Margaret, who's not said anything for ages.
I really like the idea of maybe having some more cultural things that bring people out of their houses and into the town centre, and I think like music and cultural things, they do actually help people with dementia because you know they're very kind of positive impact on people's just mental health, but also just general well-being. Brings people out.
More culture. Adding to the more culture.
Going back to at Unity Hall here, a few years ago they had an event and it was it was a play about these Asian ladies coming over to our country, and there was most of the audience were actually Asian, and the guys had never been to a play before, and they suddenly realised what effect coming across had on there, and it was so positive, and it helped the whole area to sort of integrate, and I think we need more of this.
Hang on a second, everyone. There's a lot of people wanting to talk. I want to just go over to Selena, and I've clocked a lot. Shabazz and Ian, you wanted to say something, but I wanted to you had your hand up for ages, so go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that we do definitely need to bring Nelson back to life. But at what cost and how long would that take? You know, it didn't take a day for Nelson to end up like this. It's not going to take a day to get back. How long, how many generations, how much money is going to have to go in, how many tries and attempts will it take? Because obviously Max mentioned with how, did try to bring in some businesses, but they left.
Okay, so
I think the thing I wanted to say,
hang on a second, Max, because Ian wanted to say something. I'll come to you in a second.
No, just to know what Jan said there, I think that's a great idea. The only slight disadvantage, I feel like I'm the harbinger of doom tonight. I promise I will say something positive at some point in the evening. But I think that, exactly. That I think is great for people of our generation. Unfortunately, I don't think it would work with the younger generation.
Why do you say that?
Because we have different interests. It's natural. It's not a criticism. It's just a natural thing that what I like at the age of 65, but somebody at 20 won't like.
Yeah, but she was saying about music. That's not.
Okay, well let's just have one person. Let's have one person at a time.
I want to say we have to find things that binds us together, young and old. If you can, I mean, did any of you see that program where they were taking young kids in care homes who had dementia, and these little kids were forming relationship with old people? Who saw that program? Any of you? You did? Yeah, that project was great because they made that connection, old and young. And those old people find that really empowering. They were looking forward, their memory improved, the kids were great, they were telling to their men, when can we go back? And some of that had continued. I think we need to do that. What I was going to say is, I went to see Stevenson, our MP, asked for some ideas to how you're going to regenerate Nelson. I said to him, go and see Milton Keynes, where my daughter lives. When I go there, when I go shopping, it's a great experience because I can stop and play table tennis, and they can go and climb, castle. They can play the sand, all the kids play. And if you go in that crash, it's second to none. They are cool. This is an experience. Did he go and see that? I don't know.
Okay.
Because he never came back to me.
Okay. Well, we can send this out to Andrew Stevenson, MP.
And he knows me.
Okay, there's a lot of people wanting to say something. I know Jan, you wanted to come in. Shabazz as well. I'm going to go to Paul. But also, Aisha, you're the only person now that hasn't said anything yet. So we're going to come to you at some point. So think about what is important for you.
Sorry. I mean,
yeah.
there is an opportunity coming up where we have the next 3.5 years to be able to try and do something in Nelson with a budget. I mean, people talk about Mary Porter's. When she did come, she had a spotlight, but I think the reality is that it was like £100,000 to do something, which is absolutely, it's nothing.
So they didn't give her enough money, really?
Well, I don't know what that amount was, but the idea of what £100,000 can do, some people think it's a lot of money, but the reality is, and it's, like you said, what Selena's saying is like the things that have kind of taken time to kind of, I guess, to spiral downwards, it's going to take a long time to come back. There is an opportunity with Nelson Town Deal. I mean, you know, the overall budget for that is 25 million, and again, that's a lot of money, but still, it's amazing how far that doesn't go. But there is a programme within that you know we're going to be that hopefully we'll be getting going very shortly, which is an opportunity to try and create more creative and cultural stuff that could happen. And like Ian's saying, I think it's a challenge to kind of find what is interesting and right for anybody to want to get in. You know, what would be appealing to our generation, where we do these kind of things, because the spaces aren't the same anymore. You know, a lot of the pubs have gone. You know, what are those shared spaces that we can use? There's some really great events in the town centre that are really growing. I mean, Festival of Culture is one of those. It's kind of like, it was the 4th or 5th year, and you know, we had thousands of people in Nelson, and this year, I mean, we're very lucky with the weather, but it absolutely transformed the centre. And everybody from all different backgrounds coming together.
You know what, I was doing the talkie there, and people said, this is great for today, but what about the other 364 days of the year? Exactly. And that was a comment that people made quite a lot when we had their little donut out in Nelson on that day.
So I think it's kind of finding those small things that we can do all the time, like the online performances. We did, you know, we put that performance on in Unity Hall, and it was great to be able to do that.
With all these things, they're not well enough advertised for your public. You have to really hunt to find these things. Whereas everybody said there's nothing in Nelson to do. I found things to do, but
you found this today.
It's been difficult because they're not advertised well enough. So the youngsters don't know about it.
Okay, let me just. We've got a new face. So this is Talkie Pop-Up Talk Show. At the moment, we've got our visualiser Rick that's trying to visualise what the Pendle House, and more specifically the Nelson House, looks like. What are the problems? It's got some structural issues going on here. Foundations are a bit dodgy. There's a segregated wall over there.
Do you want my honest opinion?
You don't have to come in straight off the bat, but I can see. We've got some music. We've got a little bit of overcrowding. We've got a lot of takeaways. So that's kind of some of the things people are saying. Can Nelson be a tourist destination? Can it be a bit more of a cultural centre? Is it going downhill? Is it a kind place? Is it an antisocial place? Is it all of the above? These are some of the things. We've got Ian, we've got Finley, we've got Ozzy, we've got Selena, we've got Zainab, we've got Zoya, Shabazz, Max, Jennifer, Aisha, Amina, Paul, Jan, Tim, and Margot. And Mikey, tell us your names.
My name's Javid.
Javid.
What do you want me to say?
Well, I mean, you don't have to come in straight away, but I mean,
to be honest,
if you're ready to go, then just do it.
Well, I've lived in Nelson.
Come a bit closer as well, because it is electrically safe.
Well, I've lived in Nelson 54 years.
Yeah.
Right, so I've seen it go downhill.
Yeah.
In many, many ways.
Yeah.
Right. I went to junior school here, primary school.
Yeah.
Primary school, junior school, high school, college. I don't see any of my white friends that I went to school and college with.
Yeah.
Right. They left the area. They don't want to go back.
Yeah.
They don't want to come back. And even the white neighbours, initially when we moved on to Beverly Street, we had the white flight. Alright, as soon as an Asian household would move in, suddenly you'd see house for sale, it's happened. Alright? You can have as many community cohesion events as you want. As many as you want. I don't think we made any difference whatsoever.
I mean, it's something that people have talked about already tonight.
Let me finish. I'm talking from my own experience. From my own experience. And this is my own opinion, alright? I don't belong to any political party. I don't belong to any political party.
I said exactly
I
the
don't
same
belong
thing.
to any more.
I said that about
what you're saying. Alright, you can have as many community cohesion events as you want.
Yeah.
Right?
it does not work. It's not going to work. You got the Arndale or Pendle House shopping centre, right? It does not attract anyone. On my days off, I used to go into, when I'm growing up, I worked at Nelson Education Office, then Nelson Lab there, go into the Arndale Centre, have my lunch there, sit in one of the cafes, I don't know which one it was called, it was next to that, where the nutrition shop is, right? Maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you'd nip into Morrison's, maybe on your lunch break. Now, I don't even go into Nelson hardly at all. There's nothing left in the Pendle House shopping centre. If I want some clothes, I've got to go to Boundary Mill or Matalan or somewhere else, right? There's no diversity of shops, they're all plazas, they're all bazaars that cater, but they cater for the Asian ladies, and that's about it. And I do wear my Asian dress, and I wear it even to work. So when I walk through to buy my Asian dress occasionally, I get the looks from the Asian ladies. What's he doing perving in here? And that's the reality, right?
Okay, so you're feeling a little bit excluded as well,
Then, you go along Manchester Road, it's takeaway after takeaway after takeaway after takeaway.
We've got that.
It's all fast food, right? Apart from Shreve's Health Kitchen, which is healthy food, the rest is all junk food, fast food. So you're actually contributing to the obesity levels for a lot of these kids growing up.
I mean,
it's all cheap food. Right? I don't know how anyone wanting to open a proper shop, proper food place in Nelson, they're going to struggle because they can't afford them rates. They can't afford what Nelson wants, $2.99. Buy one get one free jobs. One of my mates used to own Pizzeruno on Scotland Road. He moved to Cone, Three Kings. It's near North Valley Road. Trap. It's called. But sometimes go down. Let me finish. Sometimes go down and his prices have gone up. And I go, Trav, you're trying to. He goes, you know something? I said, yeah, the quality of food's better. He goes, in Nelson, people wanted $2.99. Buy one, get one free, so you pay for what you get.
Right, okay, so it's actually determined by the customer.
And then on top of that, you've got a massive Eastern European community that moved in. Right? Romanians, Lithuanians, Hungarians, they don't mingle in. Right? We don't mingle with them. Right? Every building that gets sold becomes a mosque. Right? It gets retrospective planning applications going. And the Asian councils all, give it the planning permission. There's 16 mosques in Nelson. I was growing up, there was 2 mosques. And you went to one mosque and the other mosque. The other people went to the other mosque. There's 16 mosques in Nelson now. In such a small town.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Every building gets sold becomes a mosque.
Let me ask you a question though, Javid. Do you think there's any way to sort of say, you're painting a picture of decline really, but is there any way to save it or to... Nelson or you said...
No, I think it's dead, it's deaf. It's dead, it's deaf. And I'll tell you why it's dead, it's deaf. All your shopping centre,
You said enough.
all your shopping centre, right, what used to be your Logos, that's a plaza. That's the plaza. The old Pound Stretcher store and the old building is become the bazaars. All Scotland Road is full of Asian shops. Everything else is takeaway. There's nothing to attract any diversity.
Okay, all right. Thanks, David. Okay, a lot of people have got their hands up. I'll come to you in a second. Yeah, okay. Shabazz is pulling rank on you, basically. Well, we will come to you, Max. According to Javid, though, Nelson has died a death. And I think we need to respond to that.
I need to leave it in the next minute or so this is like a final comment. But there's a lot of young people around the table, so hearing what Jav just said there is obviously his own opinion. All they do now, all they've been hearing is negative things. So as a young person with aspiration growing up, just hearing that negative that your town's dead.
Is it talking you down? Is that what you're saying?
You're going to kill the aspirations, aren't you? And then we're talking about drugs, etc. And then why are people turning to these things? So they want that better life, they want easier.
But if it is the reality,
you've got to have something in the town. You've got to, people love complaining, but what are they doing to be part of the solution? But there's so much that can happen, like we said about the arts and cultural events that can take place. You've got a Friday market in Nelson, which all the traders are from out of town. Why are them traders not Nelson? Why are they not local people given a platform to have a business here?
Okay, I mean, one thing that Javid mentioned was the business rates.
Yes, I agree with him.
Is that something that...
I agree with him. So we had a Costa in Nelson, which was a massive blow for young people, students going to college, and then, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, if you can lose cost, and what we got left in the Orleans Centre now is pound shops.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we're lucky, I don't know how boots are surviving there, and breaks.
I have to give it to Max because it's going to bust the gun. So, thank you, Shabazz.
What I was saying, thanks about. I think a lot of what this gentleman says, is what should they again? Javid. He said the right thing. He said the thing that was very kind of negative around Nelson. But for those young people around the table, we need to give them hope. We need to find solution together. That's my point here. I came here to share some of my thoughts how we can make Nelson better. So it can get better. We need to look at the health of our nation. I'm a nurse, I want prevention, but before we can get prevention, we have to have equity. Everybody treated, because it's not happening yet. It's racism. I mean, I talked about that early on. There's negativity around the place because people who are making decisions are not making the right decision. The policy makers are not being equitable in the way they distribute wealth. So I think there's hope for Nelson. He talks about all these takeaways. We need to look at obesity. We need to put green space in town. We need to exercise. We need to look at ourselves, the 5 ways to well-being. I can talk a lot about all that, but we need to focus on us and what we can do to make it better.
Okay, so what can we do stuff to make it better? Javid says no, Max says yes. Max says ask the young people, so we've got Amina and Aisha. Aisha, are you going to say your first thing, or shall I go to Amina? Yeah, go on.
I just want to add that I think as obviously younger generation, I just want to say that obviously I don't know much as everyone else, but I'm only in year 10 and it's obviously what we've been going through. It's like Nelson and Briar, like who's on top, and
so there's a lot of rivalry.
There's rivalry. There's not.
Nelson and Briar.
Especially if like people come over for like tournaments, as we have netball tournaments, football tournaments from different schools. It's like, if it's a white school, it's like, why are they white? It's like,
it's like, whoa, there are white people here.
Yeah, it's like when you flip them off, it's like we're on top, we're on top. So it's like. It's very like diverse. I think we just need to be more like kind and.
I mean, what about, because Max said, ask the young people, you know, are they feeling positive? You know, Shabazz, who's gone now, is kind of like talking it down, saying that, or not talking it down, but saying that if you go negative, then young people are going to think negative. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's about trying to solve the problems?
It is. I was just saying that all the people they lived together. It was fine in the 90s and whatever, and as the 2000s came, it got a bit more like, everyone got spread out and people came in. People got a bit more like kind of scared in a way, because like Jenny was saying, if you don't know them, then you're gonna obviously put your hands up and you know. So
there's a bit of fear going on.
Yeah, there's fear going on as in like,
But that is. I'm quite concerned about some of the comments that about racism because it works both ways, and I think we forget this, that it comes out as if it's the whites who are racist. It's not. I've met people from all cultures. You were saying about the other people from Eastern Europe coming in. You're very negative about them.
No, I didn't say I was negative.
It came over that it's not that way.
I didn't say I was negative.
What you said, Javid, is you said that they're not really mixing. Not mixing.
And it's part of the point I'm trying to make out.
But everyone will.
It's got to be all of us. We've all got to come
No, but everyone will play.
I'm not saying.
I just want I'll just come back to you quickly. Just like quick, make a quick one though, Javid.
Well, I'm not racist in any shape or form, and I can tell you how you can make Nelson better. Right? I work for Antrim County Council School Admissions Team. When you get to school, when the year 6 kids and the reception children apply for school places, it's obvious what's happening. You can see the segregation happening.
Right, so there is segregation.
No, the segregation is straight there. It's straight there. I've taken phone calls at work where, I'm not sending my kid there. They've been offered a school there, and it's, that's, you're picking up the call, and it's a school that's predominantly Asian, and on the other end, it's a white. I'm not sending my kid there. It's full of Asians, not realising they're talking to an Asian themselves. Number one. Number two, we've got Tim Horsley here, who's from Pendle Council, one of the biggest employers in Pendle. You don't see many Asian managers in there, or even in Liberata. I'm 54 years old, I'm a postgraduate. I've tutored many children in Pendle and Bradfield, and many of the Asian youngsters are bright. They've gone on to big things. But unfortunately, they can't get work, they can't get jobs that meet their jobs, they match their qualifications. At Pendle, they apply for a job, they get turned down. I've gone for internal jobs in Lancashire County Council. I'm always beaten by candidates who have got less experience than me on paper and less qualifications, always beaten. And I know why. I don't need to be told why. That is, you look at what's happened in London, that black man who got killed, right? The black man got killed by the coppers. How long was it taken for the cops to respond? You know something? It's going to take for yonks.
Yeah.
You drive along Manchester Road. Can you listen to me, please?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, please, if you don't mind. You drive along Manchester Road every night after 6 p.m. Right? There's cars parked on double yellow lines, and they restrict the width of that road. So anyone driving along in the dark, it's an accident waiting to happen. Why? Because there's takeaways after takeaways after takeaways that have been allowed that have been allowed planning permission, and people do not comply with the law. They park on double yellow lines. Cops don't do anything. Parking attendants don't do anything. You know why? It's an urban area. That being a white area, the cops would have come down, or parking attendants, and they put £30 tickets. No one would park there.
Right.
Anything that gets risen up, we've had money after money thrown in Markfield. I lived in Markfield ever since I was a kid. I remember Markfield is one of the deprived areas of now Pendle, and it's had every single pot of money that's come in. You name it, Short Start money, building schools for the future, neighbourhood renewal funding, single regeneration funding, worklessness funding, right? Skills for life. Has it made any impact or difference? Has it made any difference? I'd say no. I'd say no. Or very minimal.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Okay, I just want to spread this out because Max, you've had to go. I think Zoe wants to jump. Also, we've got a new face at the table. Tell us your name.
I'm Andrew.
Andrew, we've got Selena, we've got Zainab, we've got Zoya, we've got Ozzy, we've got Max, we've got Paul, we've got Aisha, we've got Amina, we've got Margot on the camera, we've got Jan, we've got Tim, we've got Jennifer. We've got Javid, and we've got Ian and Finley. And at the moment, we're sort of talking about Nelson. There's a lot of negativity about Nelson. A lot of people have talked about segregation, have talked about the spectre of racism kind of like hanging over Nelson. So that's one thing. We've also talked about things like housing. Is it fit for purpose? Is it overcrowded? What is going to cheer up Nelson? Is it cultural events? Is it the countryside? So these are some of the discussions, and it's really we're using this as a kind of metaphor, the house of Pendle. How do we get a house that's a kind of more saleable house? And that's where we are right now. I'm going to come to you in a minute, Max, but Zoe, you wanted to say something because you were...
I think I've forgotten now.
Well, we're talking about all the fun. Javid has been saying that none of the sort of initiatives or the funding that's gone into some of these deprived wards of Pendle has actually worked, and the problems are still there. So that's where we are.
Yeah, I think I remember now. So I was just going to say that, I often say that, say for example, you've got 100 grand's worth of funding. If that 100 grand's worth of funding has made a difference to even one life, that is money well spent, I think, in my opinion. And secondly, just on that remark about, the comment that you made about refugees and asylum seekers coming into the area.
It was talking about Eastern Europeans.
Eastern Europeans, whatever.
You mentioned Hungarians, Romanians, and Lithuanians, and one other country, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I think from my sort of research on the ground, through work through in situ, I found that Nelson's really welcoming, and there's a real understanding from like the Pakistani community to these wider communities that are coming in now, and there is that resonation, there is that sort of support, and it's a really good link, and I think it works. I think if anything, there's a good space within Nelson that really nourishes and supports that journey, into.
I mean, I think one of the things that I'm finding today, and Rick's probably really scratching his head here, because at the same time we're hearing Nelson's kind, it's welcoming, it's racist, it's antisocial, it's a beauty spot, but it's a blot on the landscape. It seems to be everything all together.
There's a lot of areas of deprivation, and there's some affluence within where we live.
What I was saying, looking at that house, what I was going to say, from a health perspective, I'm a nurse. I've said that before.
Yeah, we know, yeah.
I've done 50 years of NHS working. This experience that you were having, I became a director of nursing, as assistant director. I didn't get the directorship.
Yeah.
Because I was able to do, but I wasn't given that. I couldn't break that ceiling.
There was a class.
That's what NHS is racist.
Yeah.
Discriminate people like me and you.
So you think
always
you
get
you would be the director of
but there is every sector of the community there is racism. Police, education he talks about. He talks about his own local authority. I talk about the NHS. 50 years of it, I'm still getting it. I'm not giving up. I'm still fighting the cause. What I'm going to say, that house, you need to look from the beginning, from the time the family goes in. If it's a mom and dad and she's pregnant, you need to look after the baby. Healthy baby, healthy mom, and you work from there.
Okay, so
education, you get a good employment, is able to live well, is able to eat well, not all this takeaway we have in there. So build this around them and get the community to engage in their own health. It's about my health with me and asking me what matters to me. Well, no, what's the matter with you?
That's what we're trying to do.
And if you're doing that, that's it. I came here to give you those answers about prevention, about healthcare, about deprivation, about getting together. It can be fixed.
Okay. Well, it's,
I want to come in.
Hang on.
There's been a lot that's been said, so I've got quite a few comments and quite a few ways to challenge what's been said. But I disagree with the fact that some people think that Nelson is dead. It's not. I think the older generation sometimes forget that there is a younger generation that is still being brought up in Nelson, and I still have hope despite whatever's been said tonight.
Okay, so you think the way saying that Nelson is dead is a bit kind of not really giving a chance to those younger people that are growing up right
It's
now?
not giving a chance for anyone, to be honest. Because there's people within my community, especially my area, that are of all communities. I have a Romanian woman who lives down the street from me. Just 2 weeks ago, my local mosque, which is just behind my street, we had a charity for that mosque. The Romanian mother came, she got her mehndi done. There is, depending on how you look at it, and how I think you are as a person, how you are looking at it, if you are constantly focusing on issues like racism and the negativity that surrounds Nelson's issues, how can you move forward from that?
I think there's a lot of people that talked about racism tonight, so it's obviously...
But anywhere you look in the world, there's racism. Racism shouldn't be the top priority to make Nelson better, because if you compare that with anywhere else in the world, there's racism everywhere.
I'm glad you said that, but it needs to be tackled. You need to address it.
Hang on, because there's one or two people that have probably said more than others. I'm going to give it to you in a second, but I think we've got a comment online as well, because we're also going on there, so we're going to get that. If you need to go, we'll get a final thought from you, Jerry, but I think you've put in some very provocative points so far. You've stirred it up. You've stirred it up, I think.
I take offence to that, young man.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not being provocative.
Well, I think...
Can you retract it?
I retract it,
I think it's not being truthful, isn't it? That's what we want. And that's what we want.
You want me to be totally honest?
And that's what we want. We want honesty, we want truth. I think that's fine,
Yeah, go on, Paul. Yeah, go on.
I just wanted to bring, because we've got someone online who's Patrick, who's listening in, who's just offered a few things on various different things. So apparently under the car park at Morrison's there's a recital coming up, so there is some more cultural activity going on.
What coming up?
A recital. I don't know you want that name. Patrick can put some more. Patrick is actually...
So it's a performance.
A performance under Morrison's car park. Patrick is describing himself as a white Muslim, and he agrees there's not enough male clothing in Nelson, so he thinks that should be dealt with. He thinks the Arndale, it would benefit by just knocking down the Arndale and turning that area into a green space for people to kind of hang around. Maybe we can't fill the Arndale again in the future, so why try and keep it? And also Patrick's really passionate about the old railway viaduct. It could be a real symbol for Nelson that could something could happen to that, and maybe in kind of how cities have done it under that thing. But some really interesting ideas I just wanted to bring in from Patrick online.
Okay, Javi, final thought from you?
Well, I might stay.
Oh, are you going to stay?
You provoke me that. Good one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about arts and culture here. I can remember many years ago, right? We were going to get a new community centre built in Whitefield.
Yeah.
Through SRB, single regeneration funding. Because what happened? The civic theatre, what now belongs to the Salvation Army, was no longer fit for purpose.
Right.
So somehow the council said we're going to close that, and at that time, all the grant money came in to do the houses up. And they said, you know something, there's going to be a new community centre being built here. So everyone was all hunky dory, you know. We were, oh yeah, we're going to have a new community centre. It's going to have a sports hall in it, it's going to have a gym in it, it's going to have this in it. All hyped up. You know what happened? You know what happened?
What happened?
We got the ACE Centre, right?
Yes. Right.
Now listen, it don't end there. Being a bit sarcastic here, but some whiz kid in Pendle Council thought, oh, yeah, we've used funding, this has been that the government gave for this deprived community, because that's what it does. They use all the statistics, they use all the indices of deprivation to pull down the money, they show the unemployment rate, they show the educational attainment of them people who live in that community, they show the health inequalities mad, they pull this money down, and they got the money to build a new community centre. Got built in the town centre, so straight away it wasn't for the residents of Whitefield, it became for the whole of Nelson, which I don't have any issue with, right? But then some whiz kid thought instead of setting up a community trust, or we'll give it to Pendle Leisure Trust to run. Now Pendle Leisure Trust, we all know what they did with it, didn't they? They could organise a party in a brewery, right? So for a few years they had a bistro in there. No Asians went to it because the food was all catered towards the white community. I'd go into it occasionally, maybe once a week. They'd look at some of the whites, you know, some of the OAPs, you know, what's he doing in here with his Asian dress? What happened? It didn't run. Some of the events, art events they put on there, they were useless. They didn't know how to organise an art event. They'd put on an Asian gig or something, they'd bring in the wrong crowd or the wrong artists. Right? They didn't link up with the community. They didn't do anything. What's happened to it? It's a white elephant. It's closed. And that's public money. That's public money gone into it. It's being used as a COVID-19 vaccination centre, unfortunately. Right. You know what I mean? A lot of money that went into that.
So in a way, it's part of this story that you're saying that funding comes in and then it gets...
and you get the wrong people making the decisions.
It gets misspent.
Yeah, it gets misspent. There's no accountability because if you know something, it's extra money. It's not really our money, is it? It's like if you give me 20 quid and I go outside and I lose a fiver and I say, well, hang on, it won't be, but he gave me a tenner. Still got a fiver, I can nip into the takeaway now.
Chicken.
Because it's not directly coming out of their government, out of their budget, it's additional money that's coming in.
Okay.
People get put on big fat salaries, you know, like paying 40 grand a year for being project manager. He can have 25. So that 100 grand you're talking about there now,
suddenly change to
suddenly it becomes 35 grand to be spent.
Okay, well, I mean,
so what I'm saying is that's one thing.
hang on.
That issue around the parking problem.
Okay, we'll park that for a second. And we'll
planning matters need.
These are all things we hopefully can address later. But let's.
Can I change it totally?
Hang on a sec, Jan, because we're going to get a final thought from Jennifer.
I feel that Nelson. I feel that someone's got a vendetta against Nelson. We've got things happening in Burnley, we've got things happening in Cobham, then you've got Briarfield. I remember there was a cinema in Briarfield, there was a cinema in Nelson, and it feels like someone's got a personal vendetta. What they're going to do is they're going to bring all the bazaars in, which I don't go much into bazaars.
What's that?
The bazaars. And I feel like what they want to do is make it into a sinkhole, let's get rid of Nelson, make everything else rise, and it's forgetting it's wiped Nelson out. But I'm not ready for Nelson to be wiped out, because it's my town, it's my home, it's something that I lived in and I loved in, and I will fight for Nelson to be flourished and go back to how it used to be. Because in the early 1970s, you used to go to Burnley to get your tat, and you used to come up to Nelson to get your affluent things. And now it's changed. But I don't want Nelson to go down. I love Nelson.
But hang on a sec, Jennifer, before you go, because Max rightly pointed out, we have come here to get ideas. To a certain extent, we know all the problems of Nelson, and it is good to get the reality check, for sure. But we also need ideas.
We also know what the issue is.
Hang on, I just want to go to Jennifer because she's leaving. We want ideas from everybody. What are the ideas to actually sort this situation out? It could be anything.
We have to invest. For example, for the youth, what is there for the youth? Yeah. We need bowling alleys, we need cinema, we need to ask the people of Nelson, what do you want? I feel like no one's asked. We've got 16 pound shops. What do we need with pound shops? There's too many pound shops, there's too many taps. We need to go out and ask the people, knock on doors and say, what do you want? Ask the community, what do you want? Exactly. Without asking, you're not going to get.
The politicians do that around election time, and you know what everyone
wants? That's only election time.
You know what they want? They want the back streets done up, and that's why everybody goes.
This session is about that.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. And I just want to spread it around because we need to get points for everyone. There are some people. Andrew, you've not said anything yet. I don't know if you've got any views on this.
I agree with a lot of the comments about the community itself is very, very positive, and you look at the sort of festival culture and the things that go on there. I think on the day-to-day sort of basis, I don't know what would bring me into Nelson to be perfect, because I wouldn't come to Nelson to shop basically. I'd probably go into Manchester, and I think that's probably the issue. You know, it's easy to get on the bus and get over to Manchester. So I think you need to sort of look at what Nelson's can offer.
Yeah. What do you think it can offer?
Well, I think I agree with a lot of the comments about it. Has a lot of good green spaces when we look at Wolverine Park or Victoria Park and places like that. But I don't know whether people would just come in just to go for a park. You need something to draw people in. So.
And can you really compete with the likes of Manchester or whatever? Are you off, Ozzy?
No.
Okay, just checking. If people leave, I want a final thought. I'm going to say, David, I want to get points from everybody, and that applies to you to a certain extent as well, Max, when we want to get points from every. Jan, you were going to make a point.
I was going to ask the young ones about Nelson Club College, because apparently it's changed, was in charge. Has it improved? Is it better since then? Because I always thought Nelson Club College was forward-thinking. And I think that is when we get the children and the youngsters to a forward-thinking college, and they start to get together, this should help improve.
Just like we did those young minds, so we have to change hearts and minds.
And what I'm going to say is, it's really, I want to live here with hope and hope for the future. And I don't think it's about them and us. We know racism, like you say. We are people, we are human beings, and we need to work with the community to ask them what they want. And I'm not saying it's a white or brown or black issue. It's not. Sometimes if you go in places like I come from, Mauritius, people like myself abuse people.
What is Mauritius like?
Mauritius is a multicultural society. It's a vanguard for diversity. You have all sorts of people living there. French, British, Dutch, Mauritian, Chinese, Indian, Pakistani, Hindu, all of that, mixed match. But within that population, there is discrimination, so in a sense, it's not just about color, because I want my white colleagues to go alongside me and understand my difficulties, the barriers I have to negotiate daily, to overcome those difficulties. I'm a success story. I tell my story to everybody. 50 years of grinding and facing all these adversities. Yet I've overcome that. I shine. I'm still working at 69. I'll be 70 in February. And I'm devoted to my work. But I want Nelson to prosper. And a lot of things have been said about it which is negative. We need to kind of build that house. And I talk from the nurse point of view about education, health, and build that, and people looking after themselves, be part of this community.
Okay, well, that's a good mic drop there, Max. But what I wanted to say is this point, I find a really interesting point, is that white people don't necessarily, they haven't seen the struggle that you've been through. And that's a really interesting thing, because maybe, you know, if white people are saying racism, what racism? They don't necessarily know that experience.
It depends what your background is.
Exactly.
You know, it's not just, there are rich people, the rich white people, the working class white people. What a lot of people forget that, going back 100 years ago, the white people in this country, the low working class, were probably in a worse situation than the Asians are nowadays.
Yeah.
We've worked through it to get where we are.
That's why I'm saying we need to work together.
Yeah, and now the Asian community is coming up to where we probably were 50 years ago. And I think this is where we've got to stop fighting this.
Yeah.
We've got to stop making out that the whites are bad, but this is wrong, this is wrong. We're all in it together.
Exactly.
And
Let's work together.
And in a lot of the cases, it's about education.
Yeah.
And the people who haven't got the education are never going to integrate.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
The problem.
Hang on. There's some louder voices here, and I want to also bring in some of the quieter voices as well. People like Zainab, I don't think you've said anything yet.
She hasn't.
So people like Zainab, we've got a couple of new faces at the table. So tell us your name.
Alion.
What is it?
Alion.
Alion. And who have we got over here? Ali. Okay, so we got, just quickly, we got Max, we got Paul, we got Aisha, we got Amina, we got Jan, we got Tim, we got Javid, we got Ian, Finley, Andrew, Ozzy, Selena, Zainab that's not said anything, and Zoya. Have you got any views on any of the things that people have said so far? You must have some of you. I'm going to come to you as well, actually.
Just laugh.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
What do you think of any response to anything? It could be
What would you say to say?
I mean, it'd be good about something.
Yeah.
Something you've been involved in. What's that
Yeah.
impact has
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, do you think people are talking down, Nelson? Is it as bad as people say?
No.
Is it a solvable problem in your view? Is it something that can be fixed?
Are you at college?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think to college then? Do you think that's doing things first?
Yeah, it's good because everyone gets along with each other.
What college do you go to?
Nelson and Colin.
So, I mean, Jan was saying Nelson and Colin could be like a potential kind of positive point in that you feel like that is a place of a kind of a jewel in the crown of Nelson, so to speak.
What does that mean?
Just something that's really good about Nelson.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
It's good, okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Aisha, come on, what do you think about all of this?
Are you at college as well?
Are you at college? You're in year 10, I mean, what school?
You're only still at school.
Yeah.
So how do you find school?
Which school?
Most Heights.
Okay, we've heard from Amina, but Aisha, what do you think about all of this? Do you agree with what people are saying, or anyone at all?
What do you think about school?
Okay, we're going to come back to you later on because I think we're not ready for this. Okay, go on then, Jav again.
Yeah, I think this lady's been talking about Nelson Colin, and Jenny mentioned how Burley's doing better than Nelson, and how Colin is doing better than Nelson. Well, if you look at Colin, right. And this is where it falls down. They've got the levelling up funding for free theatres, Corn Municipal Hall. They've got free theatres in Corn, and our MP has managed to secure levelling up funding for all three of them theatres. Right? That to me speaks volumes. Because how many Asians would go to a theatre? Not many. And all three theatres lie in Corn, not in Nelson. Right? Not in Nelson. Colin Market Hall has received a massive investment moves of levelling up funding, again, from the government. So, like Jenny was saying, certain people have got this agenda of talking Nelson down. Well, that's your agenda of talking Nelson down. So you've got an MP who's meant to serve the whole of Pendle.
Yeah, he doesn't.
No, please, Matt, let me finish. You've got an MP that's meant to be serving the whole of Pendle, but he's looking, I'm not saying he's looking after his own interest, because he's going to see. He's not stupid, because when them ballot papers open up on election night, you can see these are the boxes that come from WH, Wanwood and Bradfield. You can see the ticks, Labour. Where's the Tory vote? Colne, Croydon, Eber, Barnaldrick. So you know something, I need to keep that community happy.
Right.
Then, what do we get in Nelson? We get predominantly all Asian councillors, alright?
Yeah.
Or being led by Asian councillors for many years. I'm probably guilty of that because I used to support some of them. I've been away the last 15, 20 years. And what do they do? Matt puts in a planning application for a takeaway. He knows he shouldn't get one because there's already two takeaways doing the same thing. But you know something, Matt's got some councillors who are his mates. So they push it through.
Right.
Retrospective planning permission. How many times has there been retrospective planning permission going on? So we've run the town down, senior politicians, council leaders, and political leaders and religious leaders have run the town down. There's not been any cohesive thinking. This lady talks about Nelson Corn College. I'll tell you why Burnley is a success. Because they've actually got some decent planning going on there. They've got Burnley College right bang in the middle of town centre. Right bang in the middle of the town centre. So them students, or them college staff, when they go in, on their lunch breaks, or on the afternoons off, like most college students get Wednesday afternoons off, well I remember that when we used to be there, they go into the town centre, they invest in money, they go into McDonald's, they go into somewhere, they go into a cafe, sit there, have a brew, have something to eat.
Yeah.
Whereas Nelson Corn College is
on the edge,
it's out on a limb.
Okay.
So them students go in there, occasionally when I drive through Barford, if I do, I see them walking up and down, but they don't come into Nelson.
Right.
Most of them don't come into Nelson for the lunch. Then
Because
you've got
they have their own restaurant. And this young lady said this, that she's not knocking Nelson College.
But what I'm saying, I'm not knocking it down. I'm not knocking it down.
Oh,
It's an
sorry.
academic centre of excellence.
What you're saying is that should be right in the middle of town.
Well, you should have a big hub somewhere in the middle. That, right? Then you've got UCLan in Burnley, so that attracts international students. Right? They've built up, they've built their medical campus up there, so they've got their nursing going on in there. They've got the medicine classes being taught in there. So they've got all them international students coming in there, national students from abroad coming in, and then they've got Burnley Football Club, that's a big attraction, and then they're talking about doing up Burnley Manchester Road. You know, you get to places, you can't go from Nelson anyway, your rail links are so poor, to get to Preston, you're like,
I mean, to a certain extent, we'll get the point that Nelson doesn't have the things in its centre that Burnley does.
faster rail links.
And I want to spread it out because I think you made the point very well. But what do other people think about this? And also, I'll put the challenge, can we come up with ideas to actually reverse this situation or change this situation?
Yeah, we've said a lot. We've given solutions.
Well, let's keep going with it. Let's keep going with it. Let's keep going with it.
He's saying we're given solutions.
Well, let's keep going with it and get it
Don't
from...
say we're not giving solutions.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say
I've told
that.
you a lot of things about health, education, bringing the town together, and challenging those decision makers.
Yes.
Like the council. Who's going to do that? Are you going to feed that back to them?
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I want you to do.
What crowd they are? What crowd they are?
Anyway, let's get. But we do want points from. You know, we've got ideas. I'm not saying we don't have ideas, but we do want points from everybody around the table.
I'm going now.
Yeah, we want probably a final thought from you, Javi, before you go. But anyway, let's get Selina's point.
Right. She goes to college, I go to high school. I'm in year 11 and we met up after school today. We came here together, right? It took her not even 20 minutes to get from Nelson Corn College to town centre, where I met her. I just want, especially the older generation, stop talking down Nelson. All I've heard is negatives. Can we please start talking about how to move forward?
Don't you need to address negatives in order to come up with good ideas to make...
But there's so many ways to challenge these negatives that they're saying. They keep on talking down the takeaways, but what else is bringing in income for Nelson?
Okay, so let's come up...
The amount of income that these takeaways are lining up for Nelson, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing that's keeping Nelson running right now.
Right.
Nelson Town has died down. No one goes into the Pendle Roadshow shopping centre apart from the older generation. My grandma occasionally goes into there to buy some sweets, chocolates, that's absolutely it. Most of my weekends, where do I go out to eat? I go out to those takeaways, and a lot of the time, when he was saying that, you know, where the Nelson College is placed, how they're not, you know, on their breaks, they're not going into Nelson Town, they're not investing their money, right? When kids go to places, they don't usually take taxis, they don't usually take buses, they don't invest in public transport. They have quite large friendship groups, they'll walk about. A 20-minute walk is absolutely nothing.
It's better for your health.
It's good for your health.
Exactly. So a 20-minute walk from Nelson Corn College to town is nothing.
Yeah, okay. So it's good for the kids. I'm going to get a final thought from you, but Margaret's had her hand up for ages, so I'm just going to go there, and then we'll get a final thought from Javid, and then I don't know if we feel like we're going into final thoughts territory anyway. And anyone watching online, give us some final thoughts as well, because, you know, as I said, I'm not saying we have not got ideas, we've got loads of great ideas, but we need to keep the ideas flowing, and we need to get the ideas from all quarters, people like you. and you that haven't said anything, what are the ideas to solve these problems? Margot?
I just feel like maybe the people who are making the planning permissions, they just don't have much choice. People come with like rubbish ideas. Oh yeah, I'm going to do 7th takeaway. Yeah, brilliant. It's just like, what are the ideas that people are proposing? And do people
there's better business ventures out there.
Yeah, or it's just takeaway like the maximum of like people's creativity. That's my question number one. What people would like to see, what they would like to propose. But also, like, do people know? Like, do young people around this table know how they would put an idea forward? Like, how does it work with the council? Like, I don't know. But like, is it a clear path, or is it like you have to know Bob and someone else from the council in order to get your deal, confirmed? Like, I just don't know how it works. Does it need to be like more, do the councillors need to come and speak to young people, say this is how you do it, this is like small amount of money, just try this the building. Like, do they need to actually come out and break it up? Because it just sounds, I feel like people around this table have got ideas, but I just want to find out what those ideas are.
I mean, I think I got misconstrued because it sounded like we hadn't got any ideas, I was saying, but there's plenty of ideas coming through, some really, really good ideas so far. I'm just saying, in a way, that is what we actually really need to we need to move forward. It is actually this creative thinking, I think, and, maybe it will be the same again and it will fall flat, but I think we need to at least come up with the ideas so that it can't be said, well, there were no ideas, there were no plans. David, final thought.
Yeah, I think it boils down to money at the end of the day, afterwards. That young girl there talked about, Selena talked about takeaways, but they're bringing money in to Pendle, but they're bringing money for the business owner. You go and talk to many of them takeaway workers, and I know many of them, they're not even being paid the minimum wage. It's a false economy. Right. A lot of them are on in-work benefits. They're having to work long hours to earn virtually nothing. Yeah. And they're getting it topped up by universal credit, in-work benefits or working tax credit. And it boils down to, at the end of the day, we have a low economy here where there's shortage of skilled jobs, and when there are skilled jobs, it's harder to get them, and that's what you need to invest in. You haven't got any big employers out here. The biggest employers are either the NHS or the local authorities. That's it. You haven't got any, and you're looking at not many jobs above minimum wage, and cost of living crisis nowadays. It's forcing businesses to close, pubs, fish and chip shops, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So many of these takeaways now, the prices they're going to double with the gas price and the electric price going up. They're going to put the prices up. People aren't going to be able to afford them takeaways. What's going to happen? They're going to cut the number of staff down. They're going to be out of work. Yeah. At the end of the day, and I'm nothing against migrant communities. I made that clear. My own father was a migrant. He came and lived in Nansen in 1961. So I know what it's like to come from a migrant community. I've witnessed racism growing up. I still witness it on a regular basis, in different shapes. Sometimes it can be subtle racism. It's not overtly sort of expressed. It can be covertly expressed when someone's looking at your dress. You walk into Booths with your Asian dress on, and you might get someone looking at you like that. So there's different ways. Your body language tells you how people feel about you or think about you. But at the end of the day, it's about money. It boils down to money. If you get affluent areas where there's enough to go around, people don't fall out with the neighbours, you know what I mean? There's enough to go around.
So it's actually that money pressure
that's money pressure, and that's what causes hatred, isn't it? Well, growing up, the Asians got every, you live in an Asian area, your house is going to be done up, or this is going to be done up, you know what I mean? And you get that kind of stuff. If you lived in, and it was worse, it was like, you were caused to that thing, it wasn't them. I remember growing up in school in Longstreet Juniors, I had, 2 Pakistanis in a class. Oh, you know that, but something, he smells of curry. You know what I mean? You'd get that, and you'd grow older, and you think, hang on, you just playing that. I didn't really like me, they were playing me off next day. And it's them divide and rule concept. You know what I mean? And I think both communities, all communities should I say, because Pendle has become, or Nelson in particular, has become more diverse than ever. And if you don't get it right, it's a time bomb waiting to explode. You've seen what's happened in Leicester. Yeah. You've seen what's happened in Leicester. We've seen I'm 54 now. When I was growing up, and I'm going to say this to all the children and young people here, when I was growing up, I went to Whitefield Infants and then Edgerend High School, which is now Marsden Heights. When we were at Edgerend, I was at Edgerend 1980 to 1985. There were 2 Pakistani boys and 2 Pakistani girls. And that was it. Every class, you know, as we got fed up, you know, and as you got, the younger classes were getting more Asians, you know, because the Asian population was growing. But now, it's not just Asians, is it? It's even within the Asians, you've got diversity. You've got the Asian Europeans that come over from Italy and Spain. Yeah. Then you've got the,
so
you know,
that's
you've got
a good thing.
Yeah, well, it's more diverse. It's increasing. You have the Syrian refugees that came over, and their community is growing as well. Then you've got the Eastern European community that's very diverse in its own nature. Because they normally get clumped together, don't they? You know what I mean? You've got Bulgarians in there, you've got Lithuanians, you've got Polish in there. So Romanians, Bulgarians. So, you know, where we were many years ago, it's changed. The whole sort of scenario, or the chessboard has changed, and it's how you adapt yourself, how the so-called leaders, you know, the political leaders, the, you know, people with influence, people with clout, how they respond to that. Otherwise you don't, you know, it's like what's happened in Leicester, you know, you think, when I saw that Leicester issue, I'm thinking to myself, hold on, this is factually incorrect the way the media has portrayed this. Okay. And I'll tell you why, because in Leicester, there's not many Pakistanis. Now the media all made it out to be an Indian Pakistani issue. It wasn't a Pakistani issue. Yeah. It was, if you look at the statistics, go on the Office for National Statistics, the Indian community in Leicester far outnumbers the Pakistani community by 30 to 1. Okay. The issue was a Hindu Muslim issue. That's what it was. But the way the media relayed it, it's a Pakistan-India issue. Right. Because Pakistan and India, Pakistan were part of it.
It's simplified.
Yeah, and then, well, not simplified, because we've had 3 wars with India.
Yeah. There was the riots in Burnley.
You were right.
And Burnley's come out from that. Yeah. So why are we being negative about it?
Do you think it's all going to... Anyway, I feel like we need to get the final thoughts. Javid, because I think Ian, you've been waiting a long time for a point. So let's get to Ian. I think it's time to get final thoughts. Thank you, Javid.
I need a chat with you.
I think he's got a left in him. Just looking at something, I agree with quite a lot Javid said, but just personally, I think for Nelson to change, I don't think it is about the money. Yeah. I think it's going back to something Max mentioned earlier, and that's the respect. Yeah. But it's not going to be, I think everybody here tonight is respectful. Yeah. Sadly, that doesn't matter. It's going to be across the board. Okay, so everybody's, and that is, and I totally accept what this young lady says about, we've got to stop being negative. But how? I really don't see how you can get that respect inbred in everybody. Yeah. And if it doesn't, then we'll always have that core problem. And again, I get back to this in Nelson, last year, 122 crimes per 1,000 people. That's over 1 in 10 people committing crime. Yeah. How do you look at that?
I mean, it could be more than one person committing more than one crime.
That's per person.
Oh, per person?
Yeah. It's 122 crimes per 1,000. It's 122 people. So 122 crimes per 1,000 people.
I mean,
so that's 1 in 10.
Just because we're coming to just because we're coming to the end.
I wish we could be positive, and I want to be positive.
Yeah. Give us something positive, like an idea about how to deal with something.
Because we have some beautiful people living here. You know, we have some of the nicest people in the country. We're known, generally, in the north for being friendly and positive.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe just grow the friendliness.
I feel that friendliness is sadly eroding.
Okay, so
I wish it wasn't.
Is there a way to reverse that, to keep that friend? You were talking about friendliness as well, Finley, weren't you? I just want to get final thoughts really from everybody, and maybe Aisha, if you want to say something, yeah, come on.
Alright, so basically, tonight in our school, they have like flags of all our different nationalities. But one flag they haven't put up is the Pakistan flag. So they put up every single flag but the Pakistan flag. And we've said that they've had it up for a couple of weeks. We've been asking, but they've not done it.
And what is a Rick will know that because Rick's got an expert flag, the guy doing the visuals. Thank you, Rick. What does it look like, the Pakistani flag?
Right, it's just green with a star.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, what do you think about that?
Right, since we become
Wow.
since we started from year 7, right?
Yeah.
They've always had the obviously UK flag, and we've always had that. And only recently, from like 3-4 weeks ago, since we started in the beginning of September, year 10, they've had when we came back, they had all these flags around.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow. And for a while, you were like, wait, okay, maybe they're still putting flags up, but they had not. Our school is like 90% like Pakistani, and they had not put it up. So we were like, oh, they're probably still putting up flags, but they hadn't, and we had said to the school, and they were like, oh, if you want a flag up, you can just tell us, don't talk to us, don't have phone tutors, and talk to people. And we did, and they still haven't put it up. So we have been trying to. That's just one.
Okay, so, you know, I mean, it comes back to that sense. You've not said anything yet. What was it again, Ali?
Yeah.
Ali, have you got a view on any of this?
I thought you knew this. You've been saying everything.
Yeah, well, I got it right.
So year 7.
It's Ali, isn't it?
He is in year 7.
Have you got any views on any of this, the things that people said?
He is in year 7.
I'll come back to you in a minute, but I want to get probably a final thought from everybody. So I'm going to take that as your final thought. Unless you've got anything.
No, it's the respect.
Yeah, the respect and the friendliness. How do we grow that? I think it's a really important question.
I know we still have to then from there start to address other issues.
Yeah. That's the starting point. Ali, hang on a second. Let me get a final thought from you before you go. Have you got any views on any of this? And I want a final thought from you as well. I mean, there as well. So, what's your view on any of the things? Do you agree with any of the things that have been said, or disagree?
I agree with the help of
Your Jan's point, yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
Which one?
Which one? I kind of forgot it, but...
It's alright, take a minute to think
I
about
don't
it.
think what it was.
In the meantime, I'll come back to you and I'll talk to Amina. Give us a final thought.
Yeah, I just think that you start like with the younger generation, because right now the older generation is saying that we've had all these problems, but if you start putting into younger generation's heads that we're all equal, and because obviously we're still in high school, and year 7s have started with the Brian Nelson and just like white people, and in general they don't accept us, so why should we accept them? They still have that in year 7, and if you start it from like maybe primary school, the beginning of high school, then people's thoughts will change.
Okay. Ali, I'll come back to you. What was it, the point that you agreed with?
I agree that everybody, like, everything should be fair, but like, even if you're from like Spain, Italy, anything, like, you should be treated the same.
Okay, so that the same point that Max was making as well, equity, equality.
Okay. Respect to his kids of this age.
Should we respect the young people as a round of applause for these people? Okay, so we're doing final thoughts. Finley, give us a final thought.
Well, I think we should focus on the positive, positive, negative, like the diversity, and they're talking about now. People should care about their community and where they're from, especially young people, because I mean, in education, in school, it's any stuff on this, it's taught in history, or we don't get taught on the now, on the caring about your community. And
so maybe we've heard a lot about education, but maybe the education could focus on what's happening now, and how to actually encourage the respect, that kindness, the friendliness that everyone wants to see.
Because I feel like a lot of young people just kind of don't care or dismiss it, and that's why nothing really changes.
Because you actually do more of that in the school.
And everyone goes through sort of an education, so it's a good place to start.
Okay, great point. Thank you, Finley. Andrew?
I think you need more forums like this, for people to sort of get together, discuss ideas, and give people to meet people from different parts of the community. I think with regards to the same time, I agree a lot with what Selena and Paddy said. You need to make a decision about what you do with the Admiral Centre, because it's not working at the moment. So.
I mean, you said knock the arm nail down and turn it into a green space.
That was Paddy, but I agree with that.
Oh you were agreeing with Patrick online, but I mean, is there anything else you could do to Nelson to make it a more of a kind of?
Probably I agree with a lot of the other people. It's probably not my generation. It's not the 50-year-olds. You wanna. I know you've got to sort of cater for them, but it's the generation coming up, and they're going to be the ones that are going to use it in the future. We've basically got the annual centre like that was sort of built in the 60s for a society that was around in the 60s, and it's a completely different sort of society that we've got at the moment, both in terms of retail and the mix. So.
Okay, Ozzy, final thought?
I agree with both of the views that Finley and Andrew made just now. I agree with both of them views. There is ways that we could possibly change the aspect of Nelson and the way things are held within and around Nelson, such as different cultural views and all the different events that are run. And I also agree that we should knock down Arndale and make it into a green space, because it would do Nelson a hell of a lot more better. There'd be more green space, and it'd just make everybody a hell of a lot more better. There'd be more people using that space. In situ would use it as well, because we'd use it to do events and run things in, and other different organisations would use that green space as a space to run different events.
It could be a focus for events. Absolutely great idea. Thank you, Ozzy. Selena?
I feel really bad saying this, but as soon as that gentleman sat there, as soon as he entered, I feel like it went very negative.
Right.
After that, I had a lot to say, but I didn't get to about the points that he was making. I think that maybe saying that with such a young audience here, who are here to try and help make Nelson a better place and move forward, it wasn't really ideal. There's only so much you can say about the past and how things have been in the past.
But don't you need to know the past in order to sort of work towards the future?
Like I said at the beginning, I am part of the younger generation. I don't have that much experience. I've only seen the modern Nelson, I've only seen the now of Nelson. And I think to move forward, that's what you need to focus on. The now issues of Nelson.
But give us something, talking with that in mind, give us something positive, some ideas about, what are there's been a lot of ideas toing and froing. What's some of the things that you really want to emphasise as a good idea for Nelson?
Not so long ago, In Situ made a collaboration, and we had a multicultural festival, and it did have an impact. I do believe that all the work, all the multicultural festivals, all the work that In Situ and other organisations put in to making our community more diverse, it does have an impact, and it does make change. Like Zoe said, even if it's $1,000 to one life, that's $1,000 spent well, because that's changed. Even one life, that's changed someone. And I feel like I take it as quite a serious matter, even at such a young age, because I want to stay in Nelson, and I feel like the problem is that the younger generation don't care as much, because they have that mindset of, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to move out of Nelson anyway, because there's not much opportunities for me here, business-wise, economics-wise. And so with that mindset, they don't have the pride that the older generation do have in Nelson, and wanting to make it a better place and wanting to improve that. And I feel like even if you were to go out there and advertise as much as you wanted, without bringing up more positives about Nelson, if the older generation keep on banging on about the negatives, there's not much you can do. And like Sinead mentioned with how the people in power are more of the senior ages, they've got that same mindset.
So maybe
we need more younger people in power, and we need the voices of the younger generation to be able to make a change, which is, I think, In Situ really brings that along, because whenever I go to In Situ, we get our opinions and we get our voices, and we get to express our opinions and what we feel about matters, and I think that's something that wasn't expressed much tonight.
Okay, that's a really good point. Don't just say I agree. I mean, if there's one thing we wanted to emphasise, we wanted to end on the positives. I think Selena's made a good point there. But what one good idea? I mean, Selena's come up with a few just in that kind of thought about giving young people more power, about talking up Nelson. So what's your final thought? What's been an interesting thing? Come on, you can think of something. What do you think is the best thing? I'll come back to you. What a final thought for you. Zoe, I'm going to get a final thought.
Okay, so I am not up for town centre being knocked down and turning into a green space because I like having a town centre. I like the Arndale Centre. I think it holds so much significance, history, everything. Also, my eldest daughter will be in college in 2 years' time, and I like the idea of thinking, college will be based in town centre. I can meet her on a break and have a coffee and stuff. Maybe she might not like that, but anyway, I like the idea of that. And then I also, I've been just sort of listening over the past week and a half. I like this idea around civic spaces and how you can, deliver things, sort of anything, arts and culture or health, fitness, but in more sort of traditional civic spaces.
Yeah, so maybe that Arndale Centre could be that civic space, it could be educational space, people can go about education, could be a cultural space, all these things that it could possibly be.
Yeah, and also I just wanted to make one more point, just around sort of, when people feel empowered, that's the way forward. And I feel as though, like, especially with a lot of the groups that have started through in situ and stuff, people are feeling empowered and they're feeling some sort of ownership and belonging in their community. And I think that Nelson, generally, that's the way forward.
Yeah, okay, so empowerment.
Empowerment, absolutely. And that goes down to like housing as well. People need to be owning their own properties. It can't just be a system where, people are landlords, external people coming in, flying in, purchasing properties and then selling them on to external, people. So there's loads to be done. There's loads to be talking about.
Okay, Max.
Well, what I was doing just now, I was listening with intent and ease to kind of capture what, especially with this young girl and yourself was saying. I totally agree because I think, I can only look at my lived and learned experiences of 50 years in this country. I came from another country for 19 years and I came here when I was 19, 69. And I drew on my own kind of passion and my own kind of resilience I've created over the years. I love young kids, I have 4 children and they say the same thing to me. We don't want to live in Nelson. I love Nelson, I've said that before. And I like the idea and the courage for you to say those things. But what I would say as well, you need to know a little bit about what's happening in the colonial days. The suffering as me as a young boy growing up in the colonial island where I wanted to be white because I was not the privileged person. So I wanted to be like the other, like white people, because they were getting all the privilege. So I grew up feeling inferior in my own country. But when I came to England, in my world, white people didn't dig the road. I didn't see that. They all had the affluence. They had a swimming pool. They had all the best thing in life, and I didn't. So my mindset changed. So I started to think, if they're doing that, I can be like that. So your mindset changed. You become more kind of inventive. You become more resilient. You get confidence. I didn't pick up the phone when I came to England, when the phone rang in the office. I used to run out. I didn't have the language ability. I didn't understand the culture. I didn't understand the food. I didn't have any warm clothes when I came. My dad gave me a short shirt, sleeve wasn't appropriate. So I talk about that. Now I tell people who come in, to doctors and nurses, I give lectures, I go to school, I tell them about being a nurse, I always say great profession. I've done that for 50 years. The thing I've said, I've actually overcome all these difficulties by challenging those thoughts. I want change to happen. The change starts with myself. And then you have to look after yourself to be able to look after the other people. I mean, I've had depression, anxiety and all of that as a nurse. I'm a mental health nurse. But I've had all those things happen to me. When I sit with my patient, they said, even if I'm a nurse, they say, I want you to be my doctor. And I said to them, I'm a nurse. And I go on the Asian radio. I don't speak other language, I speak English and French. But when I go with the airways, I can feel people suffering. I don't have to speak the language, the person translates for me. I can connect with people on that level. I want to go and see you and work with you, but I want those young people to make those changes. And I'm going to use my lived and learned experience to bring that resilience. I want everybody to be treated equal. Why? Everybody has it. We're all human, we're all in it together. It's not about white, brown, or black. I've said that before. I've meant to say this is a great lady. And we talk a lot, but we've had a great discussion before on different topics. So this is what I want to do. I want change, I want Nelson to be the best place to work, to live. And but look after yourself well, because health is important. I'm 69, and I want to make everybody concentrate on their well-being.
Okay, so it's a really good point. Start with well-being, start with the self. Is there any points?
Sorry, can I just before we leave, Max, can I just mention, did you say, Max, that you no intention of retiring, you intend to carry on? It's just, I think we may well have a vacancy for a Prime Minister in the next couple of years. I think you're the man for the job.
Okay, it seems that vacancy comes up a lot at the moment.
There's just a few more points just to bring in from online. We've got a few people who are really bringing some great ideas. So one is just, obviously, Cole's been sort of referred to and picked up in terms of how they've done some positive stuff, but actually people have witnessed some of the same challenges in Cole as well.
Okay,
so it's
so
not
Cole is not that different from...
It's not that different, in that sense. There was just a clarification on that. Even though the idea of knocking Arndale down and creating a green space, this is directly used here, is that actually we could do that, but actually there could be just a different type of shopping or apartments type thing around that space, so there could be still something
okay, I'm alright with that.
Yeah, Zoe's alright with that. And Amy's been chipping in with some great ideas, but we can't change the past, but we can rewrite the future. For Nelson is one statement. And also we might have a couple of challenges for Prime Minister. We've also got a vote for Selina. So
Yes, one vote already.
Okay, well thanks, Paul. Have you got any final thoughts yourself?
I've been doing a lot of listening tonight, and I think I'm really interested in people's knowledge and history about those systems that exist where this money comes in over years, and it comes in time and time again, and a sense that the perception that we're never quite getting it right yet. And I'm really interested in what is the thing that will help to get it right this time, so we don't rehash the mistakes that we might have done in the past. And I do think there's a thing about the system of where councillors have been talked a lot about tonight, and it has been really difficult to get councillors in the room with this, to hear people around the table. And I know officers have been really, getting themselves to sit around the table, because it's not even easy as officers to sit around the table with just people living there. But councillors are supposed to represent the people that live there, and I think there is something about the system that feels a little bit broken. But I think maybe more of this, to give people more power to feel like there's a voice there, I think is something we want to try out, particularly in the next few years with the This Is Nelson project. It could be one opportunity, but I think there is a real argument to say that we keep making these mistakes, and why is that happening maybe in Nelson as one example.
Okay. That's a really good final thought. Final thought, Margot?
Yeah, I mean, if I were British, I'd vote for you, but I'm very slack with getting my British citizenship, so I remain Polish. But I just wanted to say that, I'd like to see young people challenging the council more, and just maybe creating kind of pathways. Maybe they already exist, I don't know, but having these really brilliant young people, speaking to the council and being consulted on different decisions, and just throwing their ideas against them, because out of courtesy, they should listen to the younger generation. And once you're in, maybe you can get more and more each time you propose an idea and you propose some kind of change. So we do need to change the structures that are broken and just don't work. And I think people do want to do it, but maybe it's just that kind of over the years it's just been it hasn't been happening for so long, so people are just a bit despondent about it. But really, I think we should challenge and use it as a, like a punk movement. Just challenge until it's.
Just keep going with it. Okay, Jan.
Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to the youngsters, because I think they've done a brilliant job tonight. People actually being positive and putting some into the area for starters. Another thing I like to say is it'd be lovely to bring Unity Hall back into, there used to be a cafe here, and it used to be brilliant. There used to be all different cultures used to come here. There is a cafe down at Victoria Park, which is open on Monday and Tuesday, and I'd recommend it to anybody. It's Libyan ladies who are running it, Syrian ladies, and it's different food, but it is also, again, it's different cultures are going down there, and this is little roots, little seeds, and we should all be able to get together and improve things. And that's the only way forward. That's we've got to do what this collectively.
Like Jan, I'm very impressed with the young people here tonight. I think specifically around the way that you've been able to emphasise with the negativity. It's kind of based on what Nelson used to be like, and that's really what it boils down to. But also rejecting that and saying that it's more about what Nelson's like now and moving forward and getting ready for the future, and hopefully the future that includes you rather than pushes you away.
Okay. I think we'll leave it there. There's been a lot of food for thought. Max just wants one make it quick.
Final. But I think what we're trying to do now is what they call co-design and co-production. These are the two words we need to use. Co-design, co-product, with people that matters, young, old, all together, creating the change for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Fantastic stuff, Max. That's a great way to end it. We're going to leave it there. Thanks to Rick as well with the visuals. It's a complicated picture, but that's Nelson. It's looking a bit overcrowded, and that's Nelson. But thank you, Rick. We carry on our tour tomorrow. We're going to be in the famous Cole, and we're going to see what life is like over there. So come and join us at Cole Market, or even in the evening at Cole Town Hall. You're very welcome there just to see what people in Cole are saying, and we'll leave it there. And thanks everyone for taking part.